he's grabbing the bag, shots are fired.
Who shoots the shots that are fired?
Michael Boatwright.
After accepting a plea deal to testify against his co-defendants, Robert Allen, one of the 4 men found guilty in the 2018 murder of XXXTentacion, was released from jail in October 2023. He gave police, prosecutors, and a jury the most thorough insider account Dodge Journey has ever had before and following his release. This is what Robert Allen said, along with the consequences for all parties: the theft. Rapper XXXTentacion, whose real name is Jose Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy, took out about $50,000 in cash from a South Florida Bank of America branch on June 18, 2018. He placed the cash in a Louis Vuitton purse. After that, he traveled to Riva Motorsports, a Deerfield Beach, Florida, motorcycle and boat store. In the passenger seat of his black BMW i8 sat Leonard Kerr, his step-uncle. Onfroy was 20 years old. He was examining motorcycles. He never returned. Onfroy had been in the news earlier that year for both his music and the legal issues surrounding him. His first record had just come out. His online fan base was keeping tabs on everything he did. He was the type of person whose everyday activities were so visible that a man at a probation office had identified him months prior and stored the memory for later, and whose car model you could recognize from an Instagram post. At the same time, 4 men from Fort Lauderdale were traveling across South Florida in a black Dodge Journey SUV that they had hired. They had pistols, masks, and a plot to rob anyone they came across. Robert Allen, Trayvon DeMarcus Newsome, Michael Sherwood Boatwright, and Dedrick Devonshea Williams were the 4. Williams was 22. Boatwright was 22. Allen was 22. At 20, Newsome was the youngest and the same age as the guy they were going to murder. They referred to Williams as Chucky. He was previously arrested for assault, burglary, grand theft auto, and possession of cocaine. He was a tattoo artist and on probation at the time. He was the father of 4 children. In addition, he was the one who identified the BMW i8 in the Riva parking lot and drove the SUV that day. He knew Onfroy's automobile from Instagram and had previously seen him at a probation office. Williams called the group's attention to it. Using his phone, he opened Onfroy's Instagram and compared the automobile in the picture to the one in the lot. He was carrying an exit pass. Before anyone got out of the automobile, the gang used this method to confirm their destination. They had leased the car the day before. Dedrick Williams came up with...
Tell us about that. Whose idea was it to rent the vehicle? You have to speak up nice and loud.
They used a woman called Tanya Robinson. Allen would later testify that the proposal was vague and disorganized. Drive around and rob anyone you see, including Uber drivers. That morning, they hadn't set out to locate XXXTentacion. Their goal was to locate anyone. They all 4 anticipated having guns. Everybody was expected to don a mask.
Did at any point all 4 of you expect to be armed with a firearm?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the purpose of having a mask or masks, plural?
Allen was carrying a Springfield .40 caliber handgun. A Smith & Wesson .38 handgun belonged to Newsome. Williams owned a .38 revolver with a unique hammer, bow, and trigger. Boatwright owned a rifle with a short barrel and a caliber of .22. Williams did not make the choice to rob Onfroy out loud when the Dodge Journey drew up on Dixie Highway and he saw the BMW. It wasn't necessary. Allen and Newsome were instructed by Williams to enter and verify the identity. Allen was instructed by Boatwright and Newsome to accompany Williams inside, so he could speak with him personally. Allen entered. Onfroy was inside looking around with Kerr when he passed. Allen thought Onfroy was unaware of him. While they were inside, Williams purchased 2 black neoprene masks from the counter. They made their way back outside to the SUV.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, all 3 of them had.
Allen stated that wasn't a smart idea in the car. He informed the group that Williams and he had already been caught on camera in the store. Newsome and Boatwright paused. Williams then inquired as to whether they were afraid. As Newsome agreed when Boatwright remarked something along the lines of, "All right, we're going to get him." Allen wouldn't leave. He was on camera already. Newsome and Boatwright donned sweatshirts and masks. Williams would continue to drive. After crossing the street, the Dodge Journey parked. 8 minutes and 35 seconds passed while they waited. Surveillance footage showed that wait. In order to demonstrate the jury what premeditation looks like in real time, lead prosecutor Pascal Achille played the video in silence for the entire 8 minutes and 35 seconds of the trial. Williams moved as Onfroy and Kerr entered the BMW after leaving the showroom. He blocked the BMW's exit and moved the Dodge Journey forward. Newsome and Boatwright left quickly. With the weapon, Boatwright approached the driver's side window.
Newsome do after he grabs the bag?
He aimed it straight at Onfroy. Onfroy's gold chain was grabbed by Newsome as he turned to the same side. After failing to remove it, he sprinted to the passenger side of the vehicle and got inside the BMW. He reached for the $50,000 in the Louis Vuitton bag. Kerr was told to remain in the passenger seat. Instead, he fled the car by running down the road. He made it out alive. Newsome returned with the bag. The heist was finished.
As he's grabbing the bag, shots are fired.
Who shoots the shots that are fired?
Michael Boatwright.
Where does he shoot him from? What side of the car?
Driver.
So if XXX is in the driver's seat and Michael Boatwright is in the driver's side, the shots are coming onto XXX's left side or right side? Which side?
Left side.
Then Onfroy was shot 3 times in the neck. There were still 2 gunshots in his body, one of which was broken. His left lung's top lobe was clipped by the gunfire, which also touched his aorta. Onfroy had no weapons. There was nothing he had grasped for when the shots were fired. The bag was already gone. At 4:51 p.m., Broward Health North Hospital declared him dead, Eastern Daylight Time. In the Dodge Journey, the 4 males ran away. They finally returned to Allen's home on 17th Court after crashing it during the escape. Williams took a separate Uber. They opened the bag at the residence.
Okay, so what was in the bag?
Money.
How much?
$50,000.
The money was divided into 4 heaps. Boatwright, Newsome, and Williams each received $15,000. Allen got $5,000 for staying in the car. Boatwright contended that Allen's participation was insufficient to warrant an equal portion. Boatwright and Newsome took the firearms with them. The Onfroy auto key fob, the bank slips, and the Louis Vuitton purse. They took everything with them. They had found out about Onfroy's passing on their phones while driving back from Riva.
Body was like in shock. Besides, Chucky was not being shock. That's what I said. Chucky wasn't in shock. He didn't really care.
The group's phones recorded what transpired that same day, and the following day. Williams, Boatwright, and Newsome were shown dancing, grinning, and fanning stacks of $100 notes in cell phone recordings that were shared on social media. Dedrick Williams was taken into custody during a traffic check in Pompano Beach 48 hours after the incident. Both his own Instagram post from that day and the Riva security footage showed him dressed in orange sandals and a white tank top. He was still wearing the same clothing. He hadn't removed his posts. On July 5th, Boatwright was taken into custody on unrelated narcotics allegations. 5 days later, on July 10th, the murder warrant was sent to him in jail more than a month after the crime. On July 26th, Allen was taken into custody in Georgia. Before they parted ways, he and Boatwright had traveled there together. On August 7th, Trayvon Newsome brought himself up at his lawyer's office. Out of the 4, he was the last to be arrested. If first-degree premeditated murder and armed robbery with a firearm were the charges brought against all 4. In July 2018, a grand jury indicted them. From the time Williams entered the dealership until the SUV vanished down the road, the case was captured on camera. The gang was required by detectives to purchase masks. They were waiting in the parking lot. The ambush was theirs. They managed to escape. They wanted someone inside the car to tell them the inside narrative of who made what decisions, who said what, and why a robbery that was already over ended with a 20-year-old shot dead in his seat. Robert Allen was that individual. The evidence, on paper, the least aggressive character in that Dodge Journey was Robert Allen. He had remained in the vehicle. The smaller portion of the money had been taken by him. Prior to the robbery, he had even publicly stated that it was a bad idea. However, He had also collected the $5,000, assisted in organizing the car hire, verified Onfroy's identity inside the store, and remained silent to the police for weeks. The prosecutors were aware that none of that proved his innocence. It helped him because the story he could tell, if he told it completely and honestly, was precisely the kind of story that could result in 3 convictions for first-degree murder. A detective called John Curcio, also known as Johnny, and an interrogation chamber in Broward County that Allen would later describe as causing his claustrophobia set in, were responsible for getting him to tell everything completely and honestly. Since then, the interrogation has been extensively shared and posted online. The formalities of any recorded statement, such as a swearing-in, introductions, and Allen's lawyer's presence, come first. Curcio then begins at the beginning, careful and methodical.
The easiest way to start talking about the case you're under arrest for, which is XXX's case, let's talk about the car, the Dodge Journey.
A slow excavation takes place over the next 30 minutes. When prompted for details, Allen initially uses "I think" and "I guess" as a hedging. Curcio continuously confronts him about it. He makes the argument that the major things are difficult to trust because of the little lies. He informs Allen that Chucky Williams has already provided an account of what happened, that fingerprints are already on the car, and that video footage shows him entering the Journey from the Driftwood housing complex. Allen gradually begins to complete the picture. He explains how Tanya Robinson's name appeared on the app because the others couldn't, and how Williams arranged the rental. He talks about the group watching TV, the discussion about masks, and arriving at Chucky's place before heading to Riva. He recounts how, when they approached the dealership on Dixie Highway, Williams first noticed the BMW and said, "It's him." He recounts being instructed to enter and make sure.
All right, what kind of gun did Boatwright have?
Something like small, real small.
Okay, well, like that, like a rifle or a handgun?
Rifle.
He gives the weapons names. He places the firearms at Chucky's residence. He verifies who possessed what. He recounts the incident in the parking lot, where Williams ordered Onfroy to steal his rings, bracelets, necklaces, and valuables, as well as the discussion in the car when he warned that this was a bad idea and no one paid attention.
Okay, what happens is when they see him?
Chucky cuts him off.
He talks of driving back from Riva with the reality of what had just transpired, the split, the money in piles of 10,000, the return to his residence, and the immediate aftermath.
Okay, so you guys had to talk about something.
It was basically me talking to him. I was just, I'm gonna go to jail for the rest of my life. They're like, you'll be alright. It's not gonna happen to you.
Investigators received the skeleton of a confession during the interrogation. Nearly 4 years later, Allen would have to give them the flesh. As part of the plea agreement, Allen entered a guilty plea to second-degree murder and armed robbery with a handgun on August 12, 2022, in return for his complete cooperation and evidence throughout Williams, Boatwright, and Newsom's trial. The first-degree premeditated murder charge, which carries a mandatory life sentence, was dismissed. Allen had a clear understanding of the terminology. One day, he would be able to return home. The others wouldn't. Judge Michael Ausan presided over the combined trial, which began on February 7, 2023, in Broward County Circuit Court. Allen testified for 4 days, starting on February 8 and ending on February 13. Yet he provided prosecutors with the context that the CCTV tape was unable to offer on its own. 2 masked people were seen by the cameras next to an automobile. The jurors could see who was hiding behind the masks because to Allen, he explained how Williams had managed the entire operation from the driver's seat, the planning that had taken place in the car, and the choice to wait. He explained how Boatwright and Newsom armed themselves, how they blocked the BMW, and how quickly they exited. In its opening remarks, the prosecution framed it that way. Allen's testimony was constructed to support it in great detail. Boatwright, with the rifle at the driver's side window. The chain was Newsom's first target, followed by the bag. With the bag fastened and Newsom heading back to the SUV, the bullets were fired without any kind of provocation. And Allen identified Michael Boatwright as the gunman and stated bluntly, "As he's grabbing the bag, shots are fired." Boatwright fired 2 or 3 times according to him. Onfroy was on the left side of the car, he claimed. According to him, The entire altercation lasted around 3 minutes. According to his testimony, the gang found out about Onfroy's passing while driving away from Riva. Boatwright increased the volume of the music. He was dismantled by defense lawyers for days. He was referred to be a 12-time felon. They referred to him as a professional liar driven by self-interest. Between the 2018 interview and the 2023 trial, they accused him of fabricating his story to fit the needs of the prosecution. Boatwright's lawyer was especially combative, questioning Allen on every hedge, inconsistency, and I think and I guess from previous years. Allen didn't pass out. He acknowledged that he desired a shorter sentence. He acknowledged that by all standards, he was unreliable. However, he also stated, "Well, I definitely would like to get a lighter sentence, yes, but I definitely have remorse. I mean, I sit and look at the stand and see people crying, and I'm trying to do my best to get Onfroy's family and his friends and his fans justice." The defense also had to deal with the fact that all of Allen's statements could be compared to tangible evidence, and they matched, with a theoretical likelihood of less than 1 in 831 octillion. DNA taken from the black neoprene masks used during the heist and bought inside Riva matched Dedrick Williams. Odds were less than 1 in 929 nonillion for Boatwright's DNA on a second mask. And Nicole Anaut, a forensic analyst at the Broward County Crime Lab, supplied these figures. At the very moment of the shooting, Boatwright's phone had pinged at Riva. The rental Dodge Journey was connected to it via Bluetooth. Exactly 4 rounds, the same number as the shots fired at Onfroy, were missing from a box of .22 caliber bullets found in Boatwright's house. At Williams' residence, a different .22 caliber bullet was discovered. Boatwright's phone revealed that he had searched for XXXTentacion and accessory to murder following the shooting, and his fingerprints were found on the outside driver's door of Onfroy's BMW. Daniel Carter, Williams' then-girlfriend, provided an independent statement, and she informed the jury that Williams had tried to get her to sign a fake affidavit stating he was not the getaway driver after confessing to her that he had planned the robbery and murder. She declined. A Broward Sheriff's deputy witnessed Trayvon Newsom ranting at Allen while he was being transported in the holding cells during the trial, calling him a police officer, a sellout, and accusing him of collaborating with the white man. Allen described the effort at intimidation in his testimony. It turned into one of the trial's most talked about incidents. Defense teams attempted to present a conspiracy theory involving rapper Drake, citing a long-standing public conflict between Onfroy and Drake as a possible alternative motivation. Witnesses and investigators completely disregarded it, and Allen made it clear that the crime was a spontaneous robbery with no outside planning, and that no one else was involved. Jurors explicitly asked to see about 1,200 text messages from the defendant's phones during the trial. Over the course of 8 days and more than 27 hours of deliberation, rumors of a hung jury started to circulate online. The case's complexity, 3 defendants, 3 different lawyers, and a body of evidence so dense that jurors had to sort through it one thread at a time, was noted by legal observers. Hours of reading were indicated by the almost 1,200 texts alone. The prosecution's case was not weakened by the protracted debates. They demonstrated the jury's seriousness about the task. The jury then returned to the courtroom on March 20, 2023. Guilty of first-degree murder and armed robbery with a firearm are the charges against all 3 accused. Michael Boatwright turned to Onfroy's family in the gallery and blew them a kiss as the decision was read. The discharge. The date of sentencing was April 6, 2023. In front of Judge Michael A. Usan, 3 men stood and waited to be told how many years they had left in their lives. It turned out that all 3 of them had exactly the same number. Dedrick Williams and Trayvon Newsom received life sentences without the chance of release, required, non-negotiable, and delivered with the silent procedural efficiency of a decision whose calculations had already been completed. It was much more painful for Michael Boatwright, the man who had fired the rounds and blew a kiss at the deceased man's family. A consecutive 30-year sentence and 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Judge Usan looked at Boatwright and said, "You turned a robbery into a murder. On that day when you stood there and fired that weapon, You didn't just end one life. You effectively ended 5 lives, including your own. You will spend the rest of your life in prison, in a cell that has a stainless steel slab attached to the wall. That's your bed. And next to it is a stainless steel sink and a stainless steel toilet. And one day they'll come and open up that cell in the morning, and you'll have passed on. And only on that day will you have served your sentence. Boatwright sat through it and did nothing. Robert Allen appeared in the same courtroom for his own sentencing 6 weeks later on May 17, 2023. Yet he gave the room what the other 3 had never given in any significant way, an admission of what had been done to the victims. If I have to die in prison, then so be it. I know the risk I was taking. Let justice be served. Please forgive me, he urged the judge. Judge Usan observed that Allen had demonstrated what he called genuine remorse, a trait that was noticeably lacking in the 3 men who were convicted before him. The judge also mentioned Allen's efforts outside of this particular case. Prosecutors had informed the court that he had endangered his own life by assisting in the prosecution of gang members, and he had given information that resulted in probable cause in an associated 2MG gang cold case murder. Before the plea was formalized, Onfroy's family had been consulted. They agreed to the arrangement. Allen received a 7-year jail term, with credit for the roughly 4 years, 9 months, and 21 days he had already spent in pretrial custody. He had almost 2 years to serve based on the math. In actuality, the phrase had nearly already been completed. The sentence itself had been calculated as the time spent awaiting the trial. Robert Allen, the criminal, was freed from prison on October 26, 2023. He was sentenced to 20 years of probation, a sealed home address, weekly phone check-ins with his probation supervisor, 6 monthly in-person sessions, and a permanent court order that forbade him from communicating with Onfroy's family. He was not allowed to appear in public again. He was not allowed to turn into a narrative. He didn't for a while. Most of the world moved on. It then came October 2024, from Boatwright's incarceration at Florida's Martin Correctional Institution. After his conviction, the gunman managed to access Instagram by unlocking his phone. The unabashed defiance he displayed at every other moment since the day he shot a 20-year-old in the neck was what he posted. He went on to say, "I'm not sorry for nothing I did," indicating that he was not a bad person. The post went viral right away. Onfroy's mother reacted in public. Following the case since 2018, fans witnessed and recalled every detail. Both people who had never heard of Boatwright and those who had never forgotten him were reached by the video, which went viral on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Nobody missed the irony of the post. The same man whose own phone had betrayed him via location pings, searches, and Bluetooth connections to a getaway car, was now using a phone to broadcast his mental status from within a prison. Dedrick Williams took a different approach a month later. His lawyers filed an appeal brief in November 2024, saying that Drake, the Toronto rapper whose public enmity with Onfroy had been a major topic of discussion at the initial trial, ought to be re-examined as a potential suspect. The brief used the 2 artists' long-standing animosity as justification for reasonable doubt and mentioned an Instagram post. During the initial trial, Drake had already been subpoenaed. The judge had already granted him an excuse. Throughout the process, investigators had specifically ruled out any celebrity participation. No one outside the group was participating. Allen had testified under oath. No new evidence was presented in the appeal. Williams is still serving a life sentence without the possibility of release at Wakulla Correctional Institution as of early 2026, and the convictions have not been reversed. In 2025, the Florida District Court of Appeal rejected Boatwright's direct appeal, which was filed as Michael Boatwright against State of Florida Case Number 4, D23-3975. The court dismissed appeals to the adequacy of the evidence and arguments regarding severance from co-defendants. The convictions are upheld, the sentences are intact. Meanwhile, Robert Allen had been constructing something more subdued. In September 2025, the court authorized him to operate as a licensed CDL truck driver throughout the United States. His address is still closed. His probation is still in effect. There have been no recorded infractions, No fresh accusations have been made. He is currently driving in the United States while on probation until 2043. The story went popular once more in March 2026. Not because anything new had happened, but rather because the internet had discovered it once more. His mugshot and outdated news footage were disseminated on Facebook pages, Instagram accounts, forums postings, and X threads with the banner, XXXTentacion murder suspect Robert Allen released after 5 years. Many of the posts placed the release in 2025. It was presented by some as a novel development. In actuality, Allen was freed in October 2023, more than 2 years prior to the posts going viral. The posts caused a genuine outcry. The chronology was incorrect, however. Yet the fundamental question raised by the viral trend, one for which there is no clear legal solution, was the same as it has always been. Was Allen given justice? The prosecution's response is well-reasoned and supported by evidence. Co-conspirator testimony comes from co-conspirators, as lead prosecutor Pascal Aki stated bluntly during closing arguments. Plans hatched in hell do not have angels for witnesses. The masks might remain nameless in Allen's absence. There may yet be disagreements over the roles. Additionally, 3 men may still be in the kind of legal limbo that weakens cases over time. The other 3 received their sentences as a result of the deal. The human response is not the same. At the age of 20, Onfroy was using $50,000 that he had lawfully taken out of his own bank account to shop for motorcycles. And after identifying his vehicle and verifying his identity, 4 individuals bought masks in front of him, waited 8 minutes and 35 seconds in a parking lot, obstructed his escape, robbed him at gunpoint, and then shot him 3 times after the heist was complete. Somewhere in the United States today, one of those 4 men, the one who argued it was a horrible idea but still took the money, is operating a commercial truck. The last 3 will perish in stainless steel, bedded cells. In a police interrogation room, Robert Allen spoke up. On a witness stand, he broke it once more. In a sentencing hearing, he broke it one last time in front of a judge who acknowledged the sincerity of his apology. The 3 men are now paying for their decision to remain silent during every public opportunity that was presented to them, and including the verdict, the sentencing, and the prison Instagram post. That's what Allen lost by speaking. Silence cost everyone else that. This concludes the video. Click the cards on your screen to view more engaging videos similar to this one.